Good morning, our new Tuesday beginners group. I hope you this new lesson finds you all well in health, and that you will enjoy from the lessons from now on, every single lesson, and that will make a big difference in your drawing skills. Okay, let's start. Now, you all have this image from last week. Now, these three subjects, three objects, sphere, cube, and cylinder. That's it, cylinder. Sphere, cube, and cylinder. They're all the three of those. They apply onto human figure. Basically, you could resemble that with a head. That could be the torso, and that could be any thigh or leg, or well, basically the whole leg or thighs, and then calf. So you will see that that will be applied constantly on our figure drawing, but not only on figure drawing. That could apply on perspective, could apply on buildings, could apply on well, building that's very clear, like a building. You have poles, you have street lighting, you have so on and so forth. Okay, let's start with the first thing that we will do here will be, I'm using willow charcoal. Now, some of you might not have willow charcoal, but hopefully you do all. But if not, then any pencil will do. And then what I've done, I've grind it on a sandpaper. See? And then you will have a very, very sharp edge. Look, if you grind it this way. Now that's medium size or medium strength, whatever you want to call it. And then give it that. And then look how sharp that becomes. You see? I mean, I did grind it before, so it didn't happen just now, but I prepared it a little bit earlier on. Anyway, so now that's good because that gives you a very, very sharp line when we need it. Leave it close by. And what we can do, I can apply now this dust and then do the first image. Now, sorry, before I do the first image, let's set out our, let's say, place here. So I have a very big page. You don't have to have that. You can have an A4. That's A3, by the way. That's an A3 size page. Now you can work on that and then cut that in the middle, and that will become an A4. So another thing that I've said throughout the years is that you can do very sharp lines just by following. You see the edge of the canvas, or the edge of the page, or the edge of the, let's say, your block or pad. Look, that's the edge of the pad. Just move it down and keep the charcoal steady, and you'll do a very, very sharp line. I'll demonstrate it to you now. So that's the case, basically. So leaving that, you see, keeping the charcoal steady, and you do a perfectly aligned with the edge line. And the end here, you see that? And then the top, and then down here, another line there. See, now I've framed it. So you see, without that, that's a bit floating on air. I mean, where the object will sit. Anyhow, now let's do our three objects here. It might look silly, or it might look not important, but actually it's very important to work on these three objects. Before I do the sphere stands on the top half of the page. So if that's my page, which in my case it is here, and I cut in the middle, see? The sphere stands on the top half. Okay, but where? Here, there. Okay, so let's cut that. Let's separate the width of this. of the whole image into 2, and there you have it. So into 2, there. And the sphere just goes just above this line, above this line here. All right, and then you have, and then don't forget, as the sphere comes up here, then you have a very straight line. Almost a vertical line will bring you the edge of the cube. So if the sphere comes up here and I do a vertical line, we're going to work with those vertical lines constantly from now on, and horizontal lines and angles, horizontal, vertical, and angle. Not in this case, we don't need the angle, but we'll need it here. Okay, let's not confuse you too much with those concepts now. You have a straight line from the cube down. Okay. And well, so I've got this line, which is this part of the cube, and I got that line, which goes right here, which is this side. Now, the cube has 2 sides. I had a Rubik cube. Yeah, okay, well, I have it here. Okay, lucky, I found it easily. Okay, so the cube has got 2 sides. This is, let's call this front side, and that's the side of the cube. That's the front of the cube, and this is what we're doing here. So the cube here is exactly like this. You see? Now that sounds easier as well, but it's not that easy. It's a concept that you have to be very familiar with in architecture, especially when you design objects. So let's leave the cube there. So I've got front plane, which is this one. And look, the line is just within the sphere. So I've got the line, again, within the sphere. If I go vertically, that line is within the sphere, you see? And that line there, that's also within the spherical mass here. Okay. The other thing is, do you remember that I've divided that in middle? Okay. Now that's the top of the cube. That middle is the top of the cube. But then, so I've got that middle here, the top of the cube. Now the bottom of the cube though is not the same. That line, so the top of the cube, I have a horizontal line will connect this edge of the cube with this at the same line. But down here it's not the case. So you see, at the top I'm connecting those 2 edges here and there, but the bottom, the inside, so that I don't see this, it's here to the back. So I have a different angle here. It's there. Those are the angles I need to be now adjusting on my design. So I have another line there which goes, this is the angle that I was talking earlier on. One angle and the next one. See? Now the edge of the cube, or the end of the cube, is there. Now you see, if I end the cube down here, that's not the cube anymore, that's more of a rectangular shape. So let's keep in mind the width that I've done here, it's roughly the width of here. Could be a little bit wider, because depends how you see. That's a perfect cube, but if I see it this way, then I see more of this side. So it looks like it's not a cube. It's a perfect cube though. But you see, if I see it this way, then I see less of the front and a lot more of the side. Or if I see it this way, then it doesn't look a cube anymore. It could be like in a rectangle, but we know it's a cube. Okay. So, and I know it here, that's a cube. Okay, so again, if I end the line there, that will be more of a rectangle. If I bring it here, then it's not a cube anymore. See, that will be like a building, like a massive skyscraper. So not even there, it's somewhere here, a little bit further back. Okay. So I'm trying to get those sides very similar. But the secret is here. Do not come, so you don't come too low here. You do that edge here, right where you are, and another edge there. And we explained that earlier on. That vertical line is within the sphere. That's another vertical line within the sphere here. Okay. And what do I have else? What else do I have is, as I said, you remember I've cut that in the middle. From left to right, you have that middle line here, which cuts the sphere. And that corresponds to 1/3 of the sphere, which is correctly here, roughly correctly. Now that edge, you see that corner here of the cube? If I bring that this way, see? Then I'm starting having that top part of the cylinder. Now, the cylinder, if I see that profile, it's exactly like a sphere. It's very rounded. Now, do I have any cylinder objects here? Okay. Okay, well, that's another cylinder. See, that's a cylinder. It's a spray, hairspray. So if I see the cylinder like this, profile, that's perfect sphere. But then that's not the case with what we're seeing there. It's like this. You see? Like this. So that sphere becomes more convex, becomes like this. It's still a sphere, but we're not seeing it as a sphere. Okay. So let's do that then. So it's another round bit, but it's slightly moved that way, and it's not a perfect sphere anymore. But where do I put it? Well, be aware that the end of the cube go vertically, horizontally, and you have from one edge there, and this is where you end up on the lower part. On the upper part, sorry about this, let's put the sounds off. Okay, now the upper part of the sphere, of the cylinder, is horizontally a line underneath the top of this cube. So there. So these are the two. This is the space in between is the space that I can, or I will develop the cylinder. As I said, that's a cylinder if I say this way. But if I say that way, which this, it's different. It looks different, but it's actually cylindrical shape. Okay. Now, be aware that the distance from the cube to that is not too large. So let's do that. So I don't have to, or I shouldn't go too far away from the edge here. So, and I've gone here. So let's take that as a given here. It's more of the case here. So here. So you see. And whilst I'm here, I could give it a little bit of a dark tone, because it is dark. Look, it's dark. It's dark compared to the cube and compared to the table. Now, where the table is just in the middle of this circle. So you see that line here, and that continues. Look, we don't see it behind the objects, and it appears on the other side, but it's a very, very straight line. Look, there you are. As I said, we don't see that, but we know it's there. And then you have that line coming straight through the cube, top of the cube there. Okay. Now you have this, the edge here. There you have it. Now that's the end. Okay, this is the end of this cylinder. Cylinder here, and then you have the end of the cylinder, and that's another cylinder on the other side. And this is that part that I'm drawing there. Okay, but I think it's too edgy on me, so I should make it a little bit softer than that. There. And not forget the end of it. See that? There's a distance between this line, the end, the top, the bottom of the cylinder line, and then the cube line here. There. And not forget, one thing that I'm sure that you know or you realize that the light is coming, I forgot to mention it. The light is coming this way. Now, how do I know? Well, it's very clear because it's been lit up on this side, that side, and this side. And all these sides of sphere, cube, and cylinder are in dark or are in the shadow. So using the charcoal this way is giving me a soft, dark line. So not line, well, a half tone basically, not a line. A mistake. And dark, and also that soft dark tone, I could treat it like this. Look, see that line here? See it? It's there. There we are. That's a tonal value there. Roughly, it's roughly that, as dark as that. Actually, what I could go now and do is the background. Look how dark the background is. See here? There you are. Now, you can work with the charcoal this way. I've worked sideways, but you can also move it horizontally. See? And come around the sphere. Well, I think I'm a bit pushing a bit too quickly there. Before I go around the sphere, I better get the sphere, make it, well, finish it off and make it a very good round object, or a good sphere, or as good as I can, not a very good one, but as good as possible. Because don't forget, we're not using any compass, we're just using our judgment here. And then get this edge of the cube right here. Then you have the sphere, and then darks here, look. Now that dark, this dark, is darker than that dark. Have you noticed? Look how dark that is compared to that. So keep that in mind and do it less dark here. And then you have this shadow. The shadow of the sphere on the cube. There you are. All right. And not forget, also, whilst we're darkening, or let's finish off with the sphere. Now that line here, or that dark, is called cast shadow. It's the shadow which is the strongest shadow, because you have the light coming this way, as we said earlier on, and then this is where the cast shadow, or that line, as I said, it's called cast shadow, is the strongest dark line. And then dark here is not as dark as you would expect, because you see here, see that highlight here? Well, the highlight is there because it's very close to the edge of the cube. This is bouncing light. So the light comes this way, bounces at the top of the cube back to the sphere. That's where you have the bouncing light here. So I could go and darken that, but always keep in mind that this area is not as dark as we might think. And you notice that dark line becomes less strong as it moves towards the right. Again, because the bouncing light from the cylinder goes back to the sphere. Okay. I'm going very dark here because that's the edge of the cube, and very dark here. All right. Again, cast shadow. And then this side of the cube, a bit darker, whilst I'm here close by. And I'm leaving that plane bright and that plane dark. And also you have the, sorry, did I say cast shadow? No, that's a mistake. I take it back. That's not the cast shadow. That's called core shadow. Cast, you see, I just remembered, because cast shadow is this one here. The shadow of the cube down here, that's casting shadow. Sorry, my concepts in English are a little bit messed up. Sometimes you'll see that. Anyhow, I just got my mistake. So that's called core shadow, because it's the core of the sphere. Where the sphere gets, you see the light, as we said, comes this way, and then you have that light, and you have this dark sphere around here. So that's called core shadow, and cast shadow is this, is casting shadow onto the cube, the sphere, and also this is the shadow of the cube, and this is the cast shadow of the cube onto the platform. So I've darkened that. Now adds a little bit less dark, this part of the cube here. See with your fingers. You can do that. Take some dust from the cube. If that is a little bit yucky for you, because obviously you're beginners, you might think, okay, I don't like to dirty my hands. Fair enough. Use brushes. Okay, if you don't have brushes, then do you remember I said paper towel? So look, with a brush you can take it this way, if you have a brush. If not, as I said, paper towel. Let's take a little bit of a paper towel here. All right, that will do. It's the same thing. So don't be too worried about what's happening there. Paper towel, all of us have. Okay. I said chamois as well, but chamois is a little bit. Now chamois, I did show you what it is. Okay, so you know what it is. See, softening it. This is softening that light here, and softening also this area here. See? Now, what I need to do is to work a little bit more convincingly to make that sphere a little bit more believable, because it's not actually, it's a very, very bad shape at the moment. So let's bring it back and make it a little bit more rounded here. Okay, and let's highlight this line. As I said, that line goes right to the edge of the cube. It's slightly lower. See? Cube, the edge is up there. Now these are important. They might not look important to you, but when we go and do portraits and you move the edge of the nose a little bit higher or lower, then it just changes the character of the person. So yes, we're not on the portrait yet, but we better start worry, or have those, not worry, sorry, that's a wrong word. Worry in the meaning that we should worry about these because they are important, but not to worry. because we will get there. Patience. And a little bit of positive, so to be on edge with the meaning, it keeps you on edge. It keeps you aware of what's going on. In that sense, of that worry sense, not any worrying if I'm getting it right or wrong, because at the end of the day, it's for us, it's for our own consumption and to making us better as a drawer. Okay, have a sip of coffee. That helps keep me awake. Now, what I'm looking here, see that line? Now, it's not exactly with the charcoal. I can do it with a brush. Sorry, with the putty rubber. See, you don't have to use the pencil constantly or the charcoal. Okay, that was my dog. It's not me. Milo is here. He's sleeping. Okay. And a little bit brighter here, a bit more highlight, and also a bit brighter. Now, I don't have to worry about them. You see, worry again, same word. I don't have to worry about them at the moment, but I can highlight that a bit more, that edge here, there, and that vertical line here. Okay. All right. Now, I better cut that and improve and make that a little bit darker this side. So it's becoming more and more of like a sphere. Now, if you're having trouble to do the sphere, I wouldn't mind if you use a compass or even a jar. Or, see, bottom of the spray, put it there and make a line around it. Do you see what I mean? This way. So, you can get away with that, okay? I let you off this time, if you cannot manage to do the sphere. But I'm sure that you will do it without help. Now, I'm emphasizing this line because that's what it is. It's very sharp, very dark. And very dark here. Also the cast shadow, as I previously said. Sorry, that was a mistake there. And also bring that dark background here. Keep in mind, what did we say? All that shadow here is less dark than that. So let's keep that less dark. Keep that in mind. Go less dark, less dark, less dark, less dark. There we are here. Okay. We're getting closer, aren't we? Well, I think so. Bit of coffee. Okay. My next move will be emphasize that a bit more. Emphasize that line a bit more, that is. And a little bit of an edge here, another edge. And see, dark here. Where the two objects meet, right at this point, you have the edge of the cube with the edge of the cylinder, which just meets at this point here. They're attached to each other. But for a very brief, not brief, it's not the right word, but for a very small part, they're attached here, okay? That's it, and then a little bit darker here, which is this one here. A little bit darker here, and here we are. So I can darken that, and then also darken this one here. Look, So what that is, this is this line here suggests the roundness of the cylinder, and in my view it's the shadow of the cube onto the cylinder, like this. See? And then make that a little bit sharper as well. That edge, I can make that also a little bit sharper, and then bring the background here, darken the background. There we are. Okay. All right. And you see, this edge is very sharp, this one, but this is not. Now, why that is? Two reasons. First of all, this edge is a little bit closest to us. I mean, that cylinder slightly closer to us than the sphere. But the main reason is that because the light which comes that way makes that sharp edge look sharper and less here, because I see that is merged onto the background shadow. And with paper towel, see, there you are, easy. And then instead of using the rubber, you use a paper towel. That absorbs a lot of the charcoal and charcoal. Okay, a little bit less and more dark, and a little bit more sharpen edge here. Sharpen the edge here. There you have it. Okay, now a little bit sharper here, which is at the top. There. And I can bring up a little bit of this edge highlight. You see, that's the top of the cube. Top of the cube, and that is right here. Don't forget, it's a little bit left onto that line, left of the edge of the cube, so it's slightly left off this edge, so it's here, there, there. Now, as I've highlighted it, I better keep that going. That, you see that edge or that line here? There we are. There. Okay, and here. There you go. And that corner is quite dark as well. You see? That is very, very dark. So bring that highlights by making it a lot darker than it is. And don't forget with the putty rubber. Now, putty rubber, I mean, that doesn't look like putty rubber, but trust me, it is. That used to be grey, and because of the so many charcoal drawings that I've done, that's gone black. So, but don't worry, it's putty rubber, trust me. And the thing is that the way you do it is just shaping it this way, shaping it both sides like this. See? And then that takes the edge that you want. Making like this, it makes it very, very sharp. And I can come now and do those edges that I need to, and bring up those highlights on the sphere, and so on and so forth. But more than anything else, I will have to see that light, it's not as strong as it is here on the sphere. It's slightly less, bright than the cube. So why not bring that and spread those darks like this? See? It's still bright, but it's not as bright as the cube. And if you noticed, the cube, that edge, all that line, it's half tone. So there you have it. So let's take some of that dust and move it down. And you might have, because you see, to me now, it's not, I go without thinking, you might have difficulty working with charcoal. But trust me, the more you insist, the better you'll get. And secondly, it's a medium which goes very, very fast on going on half tones, edges, dark shadows. It goes very quickly goes very dark. So it's very useful. It's very extremely versatile, basically. So be patient and use the charcoal and give it a go at least. All this could be done with pencil, okay? So don't think that cannot be done with pencil. Anything could be done with pencil. But as I said, charcoal is a very, very quick medium. It goes very quickly wherever you want it to go. And a little bit sharper or darker here. And try to minimize that core shadow here in strength and in darkness. Don't want it to be too dark, but I don't want it to be too light either. So giving a general tone to the sphere, making it a little bit darker and losing those lines, making it a little bit softer. See? It's a sphere, so let's keep those soft. Okay, the core shadow could move a little bit further down here with more blacks, darks. And then cast shadow. And then bring back those dark edges. Now, a tip that I'm going to talk to you now is that, okay, how to put it on to make it simpler. Instead of using a very sharp edge straight to the edge of the very sharp dark line of the background to the sphere, best to work is to bring that sharp line not exactly at the light, just a couple of millimeters to the right. So the eye will pick up those edges, those sharp edges, but you don't need to go straight to the bright part of the sphere. There you are. Okay. All right then. And next move will be to darken a little bit more this cylinder shape. Apply a bit more force, not too much because the charcoal will break. And then softly moving that dark. See, it's darker here, a lot darker here, and a lot lighter down here. There you are. And not to forget the cast shadow of cylinder onto the table. And you see I'm adjusting also this line, which is the cube. Bring it up a bit, up this way. Yeah. So I'm not making it that sharp there, bring it lower, not up, but moving it down this way. And with my fingers, cleaning that edge here. You see that edge here? And I add in this darkness onto the table or the platform. And taking that side of the cube, making it a little bit darker than what it is here. Okay, but not to forget, even though that's a little bit darker than it used to be, it's still brighter than this, as I said earlier on. So keep it as light as possible. Edge of the cylinder, highlight it a bit more, highlight a bit more there, highlight a bit more here. Okay. And now this edge. Again, the other side of the cube. Bring it down here. And a little bit darker as well. But have you noticed? We have two sharp edges, dark cast shadows. One going this way and one softer here. So look it from far away. See? Lighter here and darker there. So lighter here, lighter, and darker there. There you are. Okay. And lose that sharpness. This is not as sharp as this, so let's lose that. Okay. Well, it's very close to the finished product or finished design, finished drawing. Very close. Bit more coffee. And we said the light comes this way. An arrow to show us the light. And a little bit more highlight here. I can work with that to make it a bit more edgy. And what else I forgot? I forgot this. You see that? Again, cast shadow of the cylinder right on this edge here. It's a very tiny detail, but it's important to put it on, because when we go to human figure or portraits, these are things that you have to keep. Whoa, you heard portrait and you say, oh my God, no portrait. Okay. I'll not put you straight to the portrait, don't worry. It will be a long way before we go there. Not as long as to make you anxious, but give it 3-4 lessons, okay? Okay. And coming a little bit darker here. And also the dark on the cast shadow of the cylinder to the platform or table basically. Here we are. And sharp. There we are. And this is what that is. You see, that is the edge or the angle that the cylinder creates a shadow onto the cube. Okay. All right then. Now, it took me nearly an hour to finish that, which I've been doing it for many years. So I suggest keep it for as long as you can to make sharp edges and to make those half tones that you need to do here. And yeah, don't rush it. There's no point of rushing. It's to learn more than anything else. Now, looking from far away, I could come back and do a little bit more highlights here on the sphere. here. Again, another tip, don't go too bright, too close to the edge. See, if you squint your eyes, you'll see, one of the tips that I should have mentioned, but actually it's good to mention it now, is squint your eyes. Squint in your eyes, and you will see that it's a lot brighter here, and it's not as bright right at the edge. So keep that in mind. So don't go right at the edge with the brightness. It's a different thing here because that's a cylinder. Well, you could do the same actually, not to go too bright right at the edge, but it's a lot more evident onto the sphere. It's brighter here, you see, and then you can softly bring that highlight very close to the edge. Now these are clean fingers, so I'm cleaning that up, that white patch here. See, softly, so that makes it very, it looks more organic, basically. That's what it does. One thing I forgot to do is to do that highlight, which is, see that little highlight here? There we are. Underneath the sphere. That's good, because you see that's the highlight of the cube back to the sphere. And it's a lot darker here, as I said, sphere, and less dark here. See, it's a lot darker, the core shadow, and less dark as it moves towards that side, towards the right. Okay. Now one thing, before you finish, you spray it. I use, even a hairspray will do, but I also use, these are very professional spray, Winsor & Newton. They're very expensive. That was about 3 years ago, or 2 years ago. Still has a little bit, but I use this. That costs £1, and the other one costs 12 or 11 or 12 pounds. It does exactly the same job. It's a lot cheaper. Bit of spray, leave it for a couple of minutes. And what that does, it will give you plenty of grit. So when that dries, when the spray dries, you can actually add more darks onto the drawing. And I will show you. Let me see what you do. You touch it like this. That's the most sensitive part of your skin. And you see if it's dry. It's not dry yet. So I'll leave it for another 20 seconds. Well, I hope you find it quite informative because, as I said, it's a fundamental in drawing to go through this stage. I know it sounds boring, or it looks boring, but trust me, it's a step on the right direction. You have to go through this. Well, we all have. Well, we all had to. And when I was a student, I've done the same. So yes, it might look boring, but actually is essential. Now, a bit more sharper edge here. See? See the profile. And then coming back and bringing, now it's dry. Look what it does. Highlight a bit more those edges, see? Bring that dark, see? A bit more edgy. this edge of the chart of the cube here. See? And a little bit here. And also bring that a little bit darker here. There you are. There you are. This is reinforcing that dark, that edge or that round part of the cylinder, and then coming back a little bit here. Just emphasizing a little bit more, a little bit more. That's enough. That line there, and that line here. And then emphasizing that angle of the cube. Okay, everyone. Come on. Happy month. I forgot even that it's the first of the month. 02/21. Okay. See you on the next one. Let me show you a little bit of Milo, which has been here so good all the time. Look. Good boy. Good Milo. Say hello. Good boy. Okay. I'll see you soon then. Bye-bye.